Hey everybody, this is Josh with Homesteading Family. And today we're going to do another tour of the garden. We have gotten a lot done in the last week. If you remember in the previous video, we did a tour before we really had touched the garden. And there was a ton of plastic. It just hadn't been maintained well. Wonderful infrastructure here. We got a great setup. The folks that were here they just got older and they couldn't keep it up. So it got overrun. And we had a lot of work to do. So we have been in here all week cleaning this place up and getting things going. And it is really, really exciting. And along with that today, we're also going to take a few minutes and talk about soil and specifically tilling versus no tilling. We get all kinds of questions about what garden method we use. And, do you till? Don't you? Why? Do you use this method, that method? So we're going to sit down and talk about that a little bit. But first, let's jump into the garden, and we're just going to show you the progress we've made over the last week, starting with the greenhouse. Okay, here we go. I am loving the greenhouse right now. We got this place all ship shape, and right now it's about 50 degrees outside, and what is that? Ooh, look at that, 96 degrees in here. Wonderful. And we've got a lot going on in here. Wow, you remember last week I just put seeds down? This is a dragon stir fry mix from Baker Creek. It is one of the fastest sprouting seed mixes that we've used for leafy greens. When they're small, you can use them for raw eating. And when it gets bigger, you cook it. It's got a lot of mustard in it, which gets pretty spicy. But mustard grows fast in the cool season. So this is always one of our earliest crops, and it is really taken off here. We've also got some lettuce from Adaptive Seed that we found, these varieties that are coming up pretty good in this cooler season, not as much sunshine. And of course the greenhouse helps. A few lettuces, those are a little slower, but you can see the difference. This was all seeded at the same time. This is a European mesclun mix, also from Baker Creek, and it's doing pretty well. Also, not coming up quite as thick as this dragon stir fry, but it's doing pretty good. And we've got my own mix here of some mustard, some spinach, and a variety of lettuce. Just playing around with some seed I have to see how that'll come up. What else we got? Hey, we got all our starts. And this is all for our main crop. Tomatoes down here just poking through. They take a little bit longer, but they're getting there. And cucumbers all coming up, along with a lot of cabbage and broccoli, and even the Brussels are popping out. So it is really getting cranking in here. Now, before we step outside, a lot of you guys have asked about this greenhouse design. And this is a great little greenhouse. It's not huge. I didn't design it. It was here, and it is a wonderful piece of infrastructure. Really, really simple. I mean, you just see it's just all done out of 2x6 and corrugated, semi-clear garden plastic. Some of the older stuff down there, we're going to want to replace that. You can see it's just gotten kind of sunburnt and dark, so we'll replace those. These, they must have replaced in the last couple years. But really, it's just a 2x4 structure, or 2x6, sorry. And I put these heat lamps in here just when we're on the edge of frost to try to give us an edge on keeping the temperature from freezing in here. And it has helped. I just have them on at night if I think it's going to freeze at night. And it just holds the freeze back a little bit. They've also got, facing south, this great white wall. It's insulated, and it just gives some great reflectivity. So this is a pretty cool design. I'm really enjoying it, and it's working well for us. So you really could build one of these yourself quite easily. Just not that hard. And actually, I hope to add on to this in the future. We could use a lot more greenhouse space. Okay, so let's step out into the garden and see what's going on. Wow, look at that. You guys remember that last week? That was all plastic. It is gone and cleaned up, ready for the soil to get turned and put into production. So exciting. Strawberry beds are composted, and we decided not to mulch them right now, just go ahead and compost them. And these are an ever-bearing strawberry. They were still producing in October when we got here last year. So it's gonna be fun to see how these do. And this is the asparagus bed. If you remember, we were talking about this was all grown, full of grass and sod. Nice asparagus bed, but the asparagus didn't really have a chance. So we really had to get in here and tear out the sod and planted about 50 crowns, 3-year-old crowns of asparagus. So hopefully we'll get a little bit of a harvest this year. A lot of compost. Asparagus is a high demand vegetable, but they also come up real early once they get naturalized. So we like a lot of asparagus. So lots of compost under there, and then a good layer of mulch. Not a real heavy matted mulch though. This is just wood chips, and I like this for the asparagus bed because it's going to allow those shoots to still come up. If we use too heavy of a straw or anything like that, it just could make a mat and make it a little more difficult for the asparagus to pop up through, especially first season. And we got this mulch from that cottonwood that was right there. If you remember, there was a big cottonwood there, and we got that down and chipped up. There's still a pile there that we'll use somewhere else, and great to just take that tree. I was going to use it in the garden or in the chicken shed, but we need it here. So great to just put it right back where it came from. And look at this raspberry patch. Carolyn and the kids have been out here. Got a lot to do still with this sod, a lot of grass, and so the raspberry patch is struggling. I think as she thinned it and took out all the dead stuff, about close to 75% of the stalks had to come out, but it'll recover. We will get as much of this sod up as we can. We will probably have to sheet mulch with some landscape cloth in here to really just kill back the root system in this grass, but we'll still put compost down and really feed these guys. The soil's compacted, it's overgrown with this grass, and it needs a good dose of nutrition. So lots and lots of compost, but this is great progress. So excited. Okay, on to the berries. If you remember, these were just taken over in grass, and so mostly the Carolyn and the kids worked on this week and pulled out all the grass, and we added a couple inches of compost and mulch. You want a lot of mulch on your perennials, and these guys are taking off. They're just getting ready to go. Look at those little buds. These are gooseberries. And we also found that we've got a pretty good irrigation system intact. And that was really cool to see that looks, we haven't tried it yet, but it looks like it is functional. And several varieties of currants. I don't remember which. I think these might be the reds, these large ones. And I know we've got some black currants in here. And all these plants are just going to be so happy as we get a little moisture and that compost settles in, and we've got all the grass and thatch out of them. A little blueberry here, and the grapevines, got those cleaned up. Still need to tighten up the lines, but yeah, here's the grapes all cleaned up. We've got a little bit of mulching left to do over the compost, and yeah, it is just looking great. It has been all hands on deck out here, and as you can see, we've got this is where the main garden's going to go out here, all our main crop items. And I've started to get some rows into shape here. We started tilling up the soil and loosening it up and starting to shape our rows. We're going to put let's see, probably onions in the outside row, potatoes in the next row, and peas. That's the first things we need to get in here. But along with that, and talking about getting rows going and about soil and about tilling or not tilling, I just want to show you one thing. When you're starting out, what we're starting out with here down on the ground, here is our ground as we have it. And if I put the shovel in the ground, you can see just a little bit of pressure. I've got about an inch and a half that it sinks in. So not extremely compact, but pretty compact soil. And so one of the main reasons we till is to loosen up the soil. About the same amount of pressure here, and look how far that went in. 6 inches, very easily. That makes a huge difference for your plants. So let me turn the camera around here, and we'll talk about no-till and till and all these different gardening methods. Okay, to till or not to till, that seems to be the question. Most gardening methods out there are either pro-tilling, that you always want to till your soil, or they're some form of no-till. You've got lasagna gardening, you've got back to Eden gardening, there's double dig, bio-intensive gardening, regular standard, just till it up and put it into rows. And you know, a lot of folks got real strong opinions about what's best. And we get a lot of questions about what do we do? And I guess my answer is I've done all of those. I've tried all of them. And I do most of them in some form or another. I don't think there is a right answer. The right answer is that we need to build soil. We need to be improving our soil and cultivating a healthy biology, what's known as the soil food web, within our soil. That is what is going to give us a good harvest. That is what is going to help us produce nutritionally dense food that we're all trying to grow as we move away from industrial foods into growing our own. And there's different answers at different times. If you guys have followed us for a while, you'll know that I generally prefer no-till. I practice permaculture, and permaculture tries to mimic nature. Nature's got it right. God knew what he was doing when he set up natural systems, and natural systems build soil. And so most of your no-till methods are an attempt to mimic nature in a way that's useful for us, that we can manage, that can help us improve productivity. We want to do maybe better than just nature's going to do while using her methods, yet providing food for ourselves. And so, yeah, primarily I would subscribe to no-till methods, and all of them are great. Again, it depends on what your specific situation is. On the other hand, there are times when we need to make some adjustments, when we need to create what we call disturbance and get things going. Like in this case here, what's behind me, this is very compact. It had plastic over it. I don't know if they drove vehicles in here. The soil is pretty hard for, you know, really the type of soil that it is, which is it's pretty nice, but it's compacted. And yeah, we could do a back to Eden method, a layering method, and put cardboard down, some sort of barrier or sheet mulch, and put topsoil and compost and mulch on top of that. And that is great. That's a great method to go. In fact, we're going to use some of that out in front of the house for getting the herb garden going. However, this is our vegetable garden, and we need to get it going now. That process takes time. Usually with a lot of those layering methods, those no-till methods over sod or over ground like this, it will loosen up over time, but it takes time. I'm dependent on my garden. I need to grow vegetables, and I need to grow them this year. So I'm going to till right now, and I'm going to take this blank canvas and I'm going to create these rows. And this year we're going to use the machinery that we have, and we're going to loosen up the soil and shape what are going to be permanent rows. They're not intended to be tilled every year. They're basically making raised beds, getting us going, getting the soil loosened up so that it can hold water, so that it can breathe. And then we'll layer on top of that. We'll add compost to that. If I could afford it, I would till some compost in, up 4 to 6 inches on a first year garden. This garden's so big that I can't quite go all out. So I'm going to loosen up the soil that's here. I'm going to add 2 to 3 inches of compost on top of it where I can. And some veggies, some things I may do less, that are less demanding or more nitrogen fixing type vegetables. Other areas with more higher demand vegetable, I'll layer it on a little thicker. And then again, we're going to mulch as much as possible. And sorry if this is a little shaky. and we will add mulch. We always want to cover our soil. So we're going to that layering method. We're going to that mimicking nature, but we're using the tools we have to boost our productivity ahead. And ultimately, we're boosting the care of the soil going by lightening it up, by fluffing it up and tilling it. Again, we're allowing oxygen and water to get in there. We're then going to add some good compost, which is going to bring biology to the soil. And that is going to allow the soil food web to start to flourish. From here on out, we won't till. Maybe in 5 years again, as the soil starts to compact, somewhere down the road, we may come back and rehab the beds, but we won't do that every year. We'll come through and maybe broad fork it and, condition the surface area, the top couple of inches, to prepare beds for planting. But other than that, we will just leave them as they are. So that's how I'm approaching this garden. We're going to approach it differently out in the front of the house. We're going to do the cardboard method, build soil, and plant starts through that system. And it's all perennials. They're going to grow over time. They're not high production for us this year, and so we can take a different approach. So, to wrap it up, till, no-till, yeah, I prefer no-till in general. We want to try to mimic nature. Anytime you can do it the way it was created to be done, and build on those systems, I think it's better for all of us. It's better for the soil. Ultimately, you're going to be able to produce more in a smaller space. But we also have tools to make improvements and to jump ahead, and that's a good idea when you need to. So there you go, guys. That's my take on till and no-till and the garden tour for this week. And we're going to just keep cranking ahead here. And I'll try to just keep doing one of these every week so you can see the progress and talk about some of the different stuff we're doing. Hope you all are enjoying your time in the garden as spring is cranking up here. And hey, don't forget, if you don't mind, to subscribe to the channel, to share with others, and to leave us your comments and tips. Let me know, what it is you want to hear more about. And as we're doing these talks, I'll try to include that. Okay? See y'all soon. Goodbye.